Hello and welcome to session 42 of Primordial Harmony, a retelling of the Elemental Evil story in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. My name is Mike, I'm the DM, and tonight I'm joined by...
I'm Nyx, and I play Ilaria. She's a Wood Elf Ranger with her panther pet, Falara.
I am Simon. I'm playing Delia, the Gnome Wizard.
Hi, my name is Miles. I'm playing Tadias Adenov. I am a Seeker Asimar.
My name's Zeph, and I play Zachariel Vitalis, fighter Genasi fighter.
Kitties, who plays Hum, the Gnome Bard, will be joining us in a little bit. But for now, I will give our recap. And this recap may not be completely complete, as it's been a bit, and I had only sparse notes to go off on, so feel free to interrupt me with details that you think are pertinent.
I think Zachariel hates you.
That's at the end. Don't worry. So, when we last left the Excavators, after felling Elazar, the flame druid that summoned the malicious fire elemental, the party took some time to rifle through his desk, finding some treasure. Not before long, however, they noticed that the bugbears that the fire cult seemingly hired returned and began attacking the survivors. By the time they got down from the tower, the fight was won, thanks to Zachariel arming the survivors and a few pot shots from Illyria. With that business settled, the party gathered up the survivors. Instead of taking the roads back to Tomerer, the party decided to cut through the hills. With shrewd navigation via Zachariel, the party made excellent time and made it back to the trail that led back to Tomerer by sundown. They spent the night watching the forest edge, and in the morning, the excavators found they had a few more tricks and abilities developed. Most excited was Delia and Tadias. Tadias used a medium-like ability to read the elemental magic items the party had collected so far. Suni's spade and Chan's chimes offered up a glimpse into the past that only mystified the items further. Delia, with her new polymorph spell, transformed herself into a tiger, but with only Hum as her witness, Tadias and Zachariel didn't believe her, leading to a bit of a friction within the party. The party returned to Tomerer with the surviving loggers to slink back into their homes, embarrassed but thankful. Zachariel went to the Wayshield station to allow some of the survivors not native to Tomerer to rest, while waiting for another Wayshield escort to show up and take them home. In that time, he listed every single monster and cultist he'd slain to a very blown-away green Wayshield at the station. Meanwhile, Hum, Delia, Tadias, and Illyria checked in on Londok with a jar full of the special frogs he had asked the group to retrieve. With them, he made a special grease and in addition handed Hum a gift, a custom crossbow kit built with her in mind. When Zachariel returned, it turned out that Hum and Delia were still a bit miffed, so he and Tadias went to find a few ingredients for one of Hum's favorite desserts. They got pretty close and even found some of Spice Daddy's rub at the general store in Tomerer.
Yeah, Spice Daddy.
And then, that night, they had breakfast for dinner and cake for dessert. With a nearly perfect caramel cake, the bygones were bygones, and Hum forgave Zachariel and Tadias. And so did Delia. The next day, they headed back to Forthstride. A day and a few hours later, they made it to the outskirts. The last couple of survivors that lived in Forthstride returned to the city as the party went to Zachariel's home to drop in and say hello. But something was amiss. Sihara had come down with a mysterious illness that would only seem to lift with special healing magic, and even then, it was temporary. Delia, thinking on her feet, cast Detect Magic and found a strange aura that permeated the very space they were in. She and Tadias took to the skies near the entrance of Forthstride proper to discover that this Miasma appeared there too. We return to our story with Tadias in flight, Delia on his back, and a worried Floriana pacing at home. 1 second. So. I'm gonna sniff a lot tonight. So going back to, real quick, however, going back to, inside of Zachriel's house, with the scene, I think, is Hum, Illyria, Zachriel, and Floriana sort of on the threshold of Sihara's room. So she, Floriana is sort of, I mean, she has her arms crossed and she looks to be a little worried. She tries to sort of break the tension she feels a little bit, and she looks to those of you there, and she asks, "So, did everything go away all right with, And she gestures to Illyria.
I never want to see a frog again.
What do you mean? What happened? And then you hear Hum kind of like giggle a little bit.
Oh, just, they're everywhere. They keep you up at night.
Hum starts to sort of launch into the story of the forest. She kind of skips over what happened in Tomar the first time, but she starts to sort of go in and how, they had to go into the swamp and it was awful and this and that happened. And do you stop her from mentioning that you got swallowed a whole?
I try to do like very subtle hand movements to.
Okay. Let me just roll a d20 and see if she catches on. Hey, is Jack of all trades round up or round down? I think it's round down, right?
Round down, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't catch. Well, Roll straight intelligence for that hand signaling. See if he can get his message across. How subtle he can do it. Okay, so I think with that it'll be like kind of an inverse thing. So, she kind of like she's about to go, and then we were fighting this big frog, and then she like notices, and she's like, it nearly swallowed one of us whole. I don't remember exactly who it was, and then she keeps talking with the story. And then some time passes, and she kind of starts to go into. She kind of gets a hushed tone, and she starts to go into like the encounter with the cults. And anyone else there is feel free to hop in. Okay. Well, she starts to talk about your encounters with the fire cult and such. Then you hear Sihara cough again. And we'll transition over to back over to Delia and Tadias right after I cough.
Miasma's getting you too.
No kidding.
He deserves it.
Alright. So, I'm gonna change the map here. Get back to Forthstride. Make sure the stream sees it correctly. Those guys certainly aren't there. And those guys certainly aren't. Let me move some stuff around real quick here. Just so that the character tokens are making sense. Alright, so from what we've said, Tadias and Delia are sort of flying into Forthstride. They're over the road on the northern side of the river near the Citadel. And Delia, like, her detect magic is, I would say maybe about 7 minutes in. And Tadias, your flight with, your
Very limited, yeah.
No, well, also your speed. So, you've made decent distance since you kind of started out on the outpost. So you guys are like, you've taken to the skies just for speed's sake. And Delia is seeing this miasma still, it hasn't seemed to have changed, going from the outskirts. And I mean, Zachariel, your house isn't that far from Forthstride, right? Like, it's within a mile.
No. Yeah, it's
Maybe within half a mile.
it's within the borders of the patrol.
Of course. So, Delia and Tadias. So, you're flying forward, and Delia, you notice that you're starting to descend quickly.
I don't feel like taking
Wait.
100-foot
And you look down and you notice that Tadias isn't responding to you.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
And you're starting to get closer and closer to the ground, rocketing down. And
Okay.
And then we cut to Tadias.
Oh, God.
You find yourself on a placid field of grass. You look around and you see a horse with a rider approaching you. You look up and you see the likeness of Katie Colger, but you can sort of tell, based on her radiance, that this is actually Safinir. She reaches down, rides past you, reaches down, grabs your collar of your shirt, pulls you onto the horse. Tadias, I'm so sorry. I needed to speak with you, and I could only reach you when you manifest your celestial powers or when you sleep. The dark miasma that your arcane scholar friend sees is connected to the elemental evil you've witnessed, but is not of it. It seems to be from outside. If you find it, take caution, for it may be beyond your mortal ability of comprehension. She then reaches over her shoulder, grabs your shirt by the collar again. When you return, pull up! She flings you off the horse and into the sky. Good luck! Your vision quickly fades to white, and then your face is about 2 inches off of the stone road beneath you when you come to.
I pull up really fast.
You right yourself, and just as you do that, your angel wings fade, and you start stumbling forward at a pretty fast clip because of how fast you're flying. The guard is right in front of you and goes, Whoa, 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 whoa! I need you to make a DC 13 dex save.
Dex, okay.
Hi, guys.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! Alright, so you managed to, with Delia on your back, who's all, like, Delia's clinging on for life, right?
Yes.
She's clinging on for life, and Tadias, you kind of, like, you pivot just enough to, like, move around this guy. And he's just, like, looking at you, shocked.
So sorry, friend. I didn't... Something...
And he just kind of, like, his eyes are wide, and he just shakes his head, and he says, Good Lathander, the city has gone tits up. First we don't get elemental rosin anymore, then gnolls are making it inside the city, goblins in Nurthol are lashing out more often, more break-ins on the Industrial Hill, and now a gnome riding a flying man. How are you even... Are you alright?
I turn and look back to Delia. Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What
What did you say about this, the city going tits up?
Just a whole host of things popping up.
How would you prefer your tits to be oriented?
He chuckles a bit. I needed that. He says, "No,
Sure.
it's just lots of shit going on."
Are there people getting sick?
He says, well, not that I know of. Although I know one of the militiamen that are on duty in the Industrial Hill has a bit of a cold, but beyond that, I'm not sure. But I'm just bitching because we don't get our rosin anymore.
You see,
It's pretty helpful.
Yes, Delia, I think we have some things to talk about. We should go back to Zachariel's place.
we should.
But I'm sorry your tits are bad. Good luck with that.
It's just an expression.
I'm not familiar.
Alright, so you and Delia start walking back to Zachariel's place.
On the way back, while Delia's still piggybacking on me, is like, how long was I falling for?
Oh, enough time for us to almost hit the ground.
I don't think I had the time or a chance to tell you about the first time the wings came out. There was a vision. Someone told me a warning, and that I and people around me would be at the center of some sort of cataclysm. And I've received another warning very aggressively that almost caused me to crash 100 feet.
What did the warning say?
Dark things are surrounding the city, and we may not be able to comprehend them. But that's not going to stop me.
Nor I.
Let's tell them about it. They need to know. Maybe
Yes.
Zachariel, Hum, Illyria, they might have an idea.
Okay. So it takes like about 10 minutes to get back to Zachariel's place. I'm going to snort real quick.
Ooh.
I muted the stream though. So you guys get back to Zachariel's place, and you catch Hum in the middle of being her bardic self and telling the grand tale of how you guys were fighting the Cult of Eternal Flame.
I take a knee so Delia can hop off.
I'll hop off.
Cersei and Cedric wave when you guys return.
Delia scouted the town with the detect magic. She can tell you, but it doesn't look good.
Well,
It's
just to remind you guys, you got like a little bit close to Citadel Hill, but beyond that you haven't seen any other parts of the city.
Yeah.
So we're clear, because you can only see 30 feet with detect magic, with what you're doing.
Gotcha.
well, as far as we got in, there didn't seem to be an end to the weird aura.
It perhaps is not targeting you, Zachariel. It could be the entire city.
Well, that's good news, I guess, or horrific news, as
Bit of both.
potentially everyone is under the what is this called?
We've been going on the term miasma.
Miasma.
Close enough.
Let me take a break real quick. Hi, kitties. Oh, AFK? Hello? I just wanted to bring her up to speed. Mic problems? Okay, well then, sorry for that screeching halt. You may continue RPing.
It's all good. But a strange thing happened while we were scouting ahead, and it has me more concerned that this is not going to be easily handled.
Go on.
Do you remember roughly when I told you that there was a vision I had, a prophecy, a cataclysm, something like that?
I thought it was a legend, some sort of rumor or something.
Well, more specifically, an angelic presence introduced itself to me.
Right.
And
Normally, I would not believe you, Tadias, but a shovel that used to be a giant rock creature shows me visions of its past. So,
well, the same presence came again and almost caused me to crash with Delia here into the ground.
so this benevolent presence that shows you of events, dire events to come, tried to kill you.
I think more so I can only see it when I have my abilities active or when I'm
Right.
sleeping. But it warned me that this may not be something we can handle. It's not going to deter me from fixing this, but I wanted to let everyone know that we are dealing with things much above cultists or gnolls. This darkness, it's something on an entirely different level.
Must be coming from somewhere. Something doesn't just poof out of existence.
No. But we need help. We need to find someone who can help us find the source.
Well, we do know an extremely old, extremely powerful wizard.
Turn to Delia. Do you think he would be able to do that?
We also know where his brother is.
Ah, right. We should probably get that across.
I don't see why he wouldn't help us. And certainly he'd probably be better for traversing through this miasma.
Can liches get sick?
I have
don't
no
know.
earthly idea.
I mean, technically they would be considered undead, so I don't think they could get sick.
Do you think the Academy is aware of it?
I don't know, but we could always go and find out. Though I don't relish the idea of being in the city for longer than we need to be.
Unfortunately, for most of us, this is our home. And I kind of, look upwards towards where Sierra is. And we have people that we need to protect. I'm as Gizo, I have my family. I'm not going anywhere until this is sold.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean
No, I know.
to, abandon us.
I know. What do you think, Illyria? Do you think the Academy could help us? Do you think we go get Renwick?
When you flew, did you see anybody walking around?
I almost ran into a guard, if that counts. Then he told us about his tits and some things that were happening in the city that sounded bad.
Well, we could try going into the city as far as we could to the academy. If something doesn't feel right, we can surely head back.
Okay. Are you off for the Zachariel?
I would like to get to the bottom of this, so...
Alright. Let's go. We're not going to find anything here.
Perhaps we can run into somebody along the way and maybe they'll know something.
One could hope. I'm just gonna gather whatever things I have and get ready and start heading out the door.
And I will follow.
So, who's going? You must gather your party before venturing forth.
I'm out the door too.
Me too.
I never even played that game all the way through. Alright.
Kitties, you around?
Kitties is having technical difficulties. We'll assume that Hum goes with the party. And voices the same concerns.
See her lighting up, but she's not speaking.
Alright. So you guys take the 10-minute walk it takes to get into the city. Some timekeeping. My fancy timekeeper. So it's still about mid-morning as you guys head into the city. Going to change the music.
I really love this track.
It's so good. It's so good. It sets the mood so well for like unease, creepy events and all that. But for now you guys are just walking around the city, so as far as you know.
Benny Hill music.
Benny Hill music. Alright, so you guys are making your way into Forthstride. So I definitely want you guys to maneuver your tokens on the map and tell me where you're going. Tokens are all the way over here.
I see. So, where would you guys like to go first?
Well, are we going to try and head to the academy?
I suggested the academy. I felt like it would be like the best for information, but
Yeah.
maybe someone else has any ideas.
The academy and
Or the way shields? That's probably further in, though.
the elemental place would also be good.
He did mention the Rosens were missing. There was maybe some line there that we could follow. Perhaps they're related.
Well, which one's the closest?
Well, the Rosens would be the militia, which would... Well, actually, no, there's a store, isn't there?
The militia's the ones that's not getting it anymore, so they would probably know about it, but
You guys-
stores would be the ones not supplying it.
You guys know that it's the supplier is on the Elemental Industrial Hill, which is all up on here.
So we swung that way and then came down to the academy. We could now got both.
Certainly.
All right.
Which one is the academy?
It's the big,
Big
space
light
invader
way?
thing.
Yeah, okay. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
the table.
The table, yeah.
And do we know exactly where the elemental store is?
Yeah, I believe it's like, I'm just moving my guy, but I think it's over like, these are the like basic different elementals.
There's a
But
map.
one of them had like the actual, like, what's it called? Oh, there we go. We had a key.
At your disposal for Edward. Although I didn't mark, and I should update this, but I did mark Elemental Arms, which is the supplier of the rosin, which you guys know, because Marshall Grobash has talked about it. It's the triangle-shaped building.
I thought it was. All right, cool. So we're going this way.
Sorry, what was the triangle one?
That's the elemental arms.
Arms is in, like, armaments. It is... You know that it is the supplier of the elemental rosin. Stand by. Gonna sniff. Yeah. Yeah, so... you guys start heading that way.
Yeah.
as you guys...
So, being here, what's it like now?
Yeah, so proceeding through the city, from what you're seeing, like, you know, looking across the water, the river's rushing beside you, people are walking, there are people... This bridge in particular is relatively busy because it links up to the storefronts for most of the elemental guilds. And you remember, like, passing through here because this is where you borrowed, or you kind of haggled with the owner of Clear Currents for a propulsion device for your boat. For
We never got our deposit back.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some elbows being thrown. So you guys are proceeding back. You know, people are walking back and forth. Somebody has like a cart with a new stove or something or other. And Tadias knows that just down the street this way is Katie's Institute for Archaeology.
Well, don't I live there?
You?
Up in that part?
I was under the impression you lived here, where I marked it blue.
Yeah, the blue one.
Yeah. So, I'm happy to express what you guys see. So far, nothing unusual. Is Delia doing any more detect magic? Because like it would have gone away by now. But I mean, you can.
Yes, I wanted to cast it again. Whatever we got.
Okay. So. Sorry, go on.
No, that's done.
So, I mean, it's super easy to cast this while walking because it's just some gestures and such, yeah, I mean, it takes you like a second to focus to actually see it. So, like, you cast the spell, and if you're just looking, you don't really see. Well, actually, let's reread the spell again. Do you want to key it? If you have it available, otherwise I'll go look it up.
Do some magical dabs.
You sense magic this way. You can use your action to see a faint aura or any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic. So I'm kind of, as the DM, I'm kind of allowing like you to look at the space. But it takes Delia, like, you know, it takes her a couple seconds to focus to see it, and then a couple seconds go by, and then it fades away if she doesn't focus again. So you're sort of concentrating on doing that as you guys are walking. So you guys are walking, and
I'm gonna keep continuing towards the arms.
right. I just want to know what route you take.
Probably went this way.
So getting to here, you see the streets kind of get a little emptier, and you round the corner, and because this is where people live, and it's the middle of the day, so everyone's working right now. But as you get up to here, which is where I assume you're going, as you get up to here, out of the corner of your eye, actually, not yet, but you will see it. So, you see the round structure that is Clear Currents. You see the water that's going down the little creek and feeds into the river. So you get to there, you look down the road here, and here you see the familiar sight of Marshal Grobash, and there's him and a couple other militiamen, and they are talking to who you recognize as Dugan McAble, which is the half-elf that owns Clear Currents that you guys kind of shook down a little bit for the propulsion device. Marshal Grobash is standing there, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's not like, he doesn't look angry or anything, he's just kind of like gesturing with his hands and nodding his head, and it looks like they're talking. They're just having a conversation.
Do you think we should notify the marshal, or should we find evidence first?
It might be better to find evidence.
And speaking of, as you're walking, and you have a good view of the building, you notice that it's all boarded up, like shut down. The front door has just a padlock on the door.
This ain't good.
Delia, does any of the miasma touch this building?
Does it?
You focus your sight looking around it, and it doesn't look any more... You see it, but it doesn't look any more dense than it has already.
It's not really concentrated here. It's no more than it has been this whole time.
You hear Marshal Grobash just call out. He just, in sort of a polite, polite and jovial way, he says, "Oh, it's the Excavators. Good to see you in town, especially now." And then he kind of just goes back into his conversation.
I'm gonna approach his little grouping.
Okay, so it's him, Dugan, and a human, low-ranked militiaman, and you've seen this person around before. This is they look elven, but approaching them, Zachriel, you definitely can tell that this person's a Genasi. He has sort of an earthen tint to his skin. And Grobash greets you, and he says, "Hello. I'm just speaking with Dugan here about upping security at Clear Currents, what with the attempted break-in and all."
Oh, was there another occurrence, or was it from last time?
He says... One second. Sorry. He says, "Yeah." He says, "Yes, so... a few days ago, there was an attempted break-in at..." And then he gestures behind him to Winston Sales, to your uncle's place. He says, something got stolen from the reports, but that was only discovered after they were seemingly, or not seemingly. It was reported only after security chased them out and flagged down a corporal. He says, and then there's also the issue with the, and then he kind of like he cringes a bit. He says there's also an issue with a small group of gnolls managed to get into the city, and there was no flares or anything.
Is the watch sleeping, or do we think they have a way in?
He says it's unclear at the moment, and you see the Elven Genasi gentleman. He opens his mouth to say something, and then Grobash sort of interrupts him and says, "Moonstone, remember your station." And the gentleman, Moonstone, looks at you, looks at Tadias, who's the one sort of leading this conversation, sort of looks him in the eye for a moment, and, you can tell that he has something he wants to say.
Alright. Mental note.
Yeah. So, Grobash just sighs, and he looks like very upset that he had to say that. Are you trying to say something, Zachriel?
Marshal Grobash, forgive me. I don't mean to tell you how to do your job, or presume to know how to do your job, but are you saying that there was an attempted break-in and then something was taken? Wouldn't that be a successful break-in?
He says, you know, most times I would agree with you, but the things I'm hearing doesn't add up, is what it is. The security is reporting that they didn't make it in all the way, and then we report, and then one of Dimitri's employees reported something missing. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but even there, you said they didn't make it in all the way, meaning they made it in.
Well, sure, they made it into the lobby. He gave the
They also
receptionist
made it
a scare.
into the city.
He says, yes. It's a problem we're trying to solve.
Sorry, I have a lot on my mind.
No, don't worry about it. I understand. Everyone's a
Also,
little jumpy.
One of your guards was complaining about. I kind of nod my head over towards Elemental Arms. Not getting any rosin. What's the story with that?
Oh, well, Elemental Arms shut down. The workers in there and the management seem to not come to an agreement, as I understand it, and the owner just shut the whole place down. Didn't sell it, just shut it down. It's all tied up in the Citadel now.
Well, I should probably talk to Dimitri about the break-in, so I'm going to do that. You all go talk to whoever you think at DACA could help us.
Are you guys splitting up?
I just kind of formally like throw a nod to them, and I give kind of like a knowing glare at Moonstone as I walk past him and start heading over towards the winds and sails.
A knowing glare?
Like kind of like a yeah, follow me.
Oh, like you're trying to get him to follow you?
He gives him the wink
Got it.
as he looks longingly into his eyes.
So he,
Hello.
hey!
Hey, Kitty's is here.
Ah!
You,
Though I think it's going through my computer. Hold on.
It is.
you don't sound too bad, though.
It's not too bad, but it definitely is. I can hear it.
Oh. Well, you went green. It's not transmitting your beautiful voice.
Yeah, you might have to just do computer mic for tonight.
Still couldn't.
I'm going to do computer mic for
Oh.
tonight.
There's...
Yeah.
Alright.
Is it too low?
No, we can hear
No,
it fine.
that's good.
Alright, so to...
Awesome.
Have you heard everything, or do you need to be brought up to speed?
Oh, I've heard some of it. I'm having a hard time. Jason got me a new computer, and it's driving me nuts.
Alright, so you guys... we continued with, Hum was telling, sort of just giving the story of what happened, since the last time you were in Forthstride. And, Delia and Tadias, when they're flying through the air, Tadias had a vision that almost caused him to fall, but he managed to right himself just in time, and a guardsman that he almost ran into... Excuse me. Guardsman that he almost ran into was complaining about worrying stuff happening in Forthstride. They walked back to... Tadias and Delia walked back to Floriana, Zachariel's home, and then you guys started adventure into the city to try to get more information. You walked through Elemental Industrial Hill, had a conversation with Marshal Grobash about break-ins and such, and how Elemental Arms is completely shut down, and there's no more Elemental Rosin, and then I think... Oh, and then a Corporal Moonstone, who is with Marshal Grobash, tried to say something, but was kept silent for reasons unknown. Tadias sort of asked him to follow him, as Tadias was going to Winds and Sails to speak with Dimitri, and I think that's where we left off. So are you guys splitting up? Is anybody not going to Winds and Sails?
I don't think any of us were, other than Tadias.
Okay. So, just real quick, are you guys just staying, talking with Grobash, or what else are you doing?
We're going to school.
Going to school. All right.
Can
Okay.
you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, right, and part of the plan was to go to Akka to see if anyone there could shed some light on what's going on. Also, Renwick was mentioned. Okay, so Tadias, you start. We'll do this real quick. So you're walking up toward Winds and Sails, and Corporal Moonstone kind of catches your drift, and he says. He says, Marshal Grobash. And Grobash says, yes. And then he replies, seeing the nephew of the owner of Winds and Sails here kind of has me concerned. I don't think that conversation you had with Dimitri sort of sunk in. I'm going to head over there and maybe make sure that he sort of understood what our advice was. And Grobash kind of looks taken aback by this. He looks over at... Is Tadias just walking at this point?
Yeah, I'm just walking. I'm going to try to meet him in the lobby.
Okay. So he looks over, like everyone else sees him looking at Tadias, and kind of narrow his eyes a bit, look back at Corporal Moonstone, and he says, he says, well, Corporal, if you really think that's necessary, and there's kind of a gravel, kind of like a warning tone in his voice, and Moonstone says, yes, sir, I do. I'll be back here in a few minutes. And then he starts trailing Tadias. Meanwhile, you guys, the rest of you, guys are going to Akka?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and use your tokens, please, to mark where you're going, then I can describe what you're seeing. Okay, Delia, so you're still you're focusing on and off, you're still seeing the miasma. It hasn't seemed to have altered that much as you get further down the road. Is Hum going with Tadias?
Hum is going wherever. I'll go with the group, I guess.
I mean, it's up to you. I just want to know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tatias.
Okay. All right. So you cross the more easternmost bridge. There's not a lot of foot traffic here, except for people coming. Maybe one person that's coming into the city from Rollid, going south down the bridge, and then starts heading into the city proper. So, Delia, when you round the corner and you sort of see the big building that is Akka, you see, I'm sorry. Senna, what is Delia's best friend's name?
I think it's Corelli.
Corelli sees you, and she goes, Delia! And she starts walking toward you. Less aggressively than I phrased it.
I'll meet her and give her a hug.
How have you been? You haven't been at school for so long. Are you alright?
No. Yeah, I'm alright. It's just been... Oh, gosh. It's been such a hectic time for me.
And she says, I mean, you've been out of Forthstride and in Forthstride for maybe a month, and final exams are in about a 10-day and a half.
Oh, God, are they that... They're coming up that fast?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be Flame Rule next month. And you know that the semester ends on the 30th of Kythorn,
Well,
which is this month.
I will try. I'll try to be back before finals. There's a lot of stuff I have to take care of before that.
Oh, okay. Yeesh. It's good to see you. And she gives you a hug.
Hey, I'm gonna catch her and say, "Have you heard of anything like weird going on lately?"
I heard about Knowles getting into the city, but the guard took care of them really quickly.
Okay, I heard about that too. And then well, it was nice seeing you again. I'm sorry that I gotta go so quickly. It's just I'm on a time crunch a little.
Okay, no problem. We should catch lunch sometime.
Good. No, turn to the group. Well, are we, I think we should start in the library.
Sounds good.
Is Zachariel with them?
Yes, no, I was listening, not
Gotcha, no worries. I just want to make
worrying
sure.
about the map.
Okay. So you guys go into the library.
Yes. I'm gonna go up to the clerk and ask about large-scale enchantments, if there are any books or anything about that.
She, large scale, do you mean geographically?
Yes.
She says, let me
Nice.
see what we can find. She pulls out a big, book and plops it down on her big old lectern desk, and she flips it open. She starts looking through it in this, their version of the Dewey Decimal System. Let's see. And then she gives you a couple, she gives you 2 different volumes that you can find within the library. One is a history on spreading magical effects, and then one is a history of the same Lich Empire that you read about before when reading about Lichdom.
Let's see. Okay, I'll go and find both of those books. And then come back and ask her, do you happen to know of anyone that would know about, like, enchantments that would span an entire city? Something that powerful?
She says, she sort of thinks a little bit, and she says, I'm sorry, nothing's really coming to mind. I mean, I'm working at a library desk. I mean, I'm sure there's a faculty member that has something to know about that.
I'm sure. Thank you for all your help.
No problem.
And then I'll leave the library with the books, I guess.
You leave the library?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, I found 2 books. One of them I've read before, but the other one may have something useful.
Well, start reading.
Where's Ren? Mr. Wick. What do we call him?
Whatever you want, but
Well, I imagine just saying Renwick in the middle of the school is not the best idea.
Well, we know where he's at. Though it's
don't.
further than... We left him in Orborough.
I thought he said he was going to come here after a couple of days.
Did he say that?
Don't think so.
He said that he was staying in Orborough to help protect until the contingency of militiamen and or way shields got there, and then he was going to come to Forthstride.
Okay. Maybe I misremembered. Because that sounds right. So you, he did mention, yes, that's right, I remember now. He did mention that he wanted to make sure that everything was sort of set up, and everything was protected. But you don't know where he is. I'm assuming at this point you've left the library and you're kind of making your way through campus area. We will cut to Hum and Tadias going into the lobby of Winds and Sails. You guys walk into the lobby, and receptionist kind of perks up a little bit, and you see a security guard who is a very built human, almost as built as Tadias. And this receptionist says, "Hi, how can I help you?" And then, sorry, go on.
I'm just gonna need to wait here for a second. I'm going to meet with Dimitri, but not immediately.
You recognize her, and you can see like a spark of recognition in her eyes, and she kind of recognizes who you are.
Yeah, from last time when I was causing a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm. About 2 minutes later, the Corporal Moonstone walks in.
Corporal, you are expected.
He says, he looks at you and he says, yeah, I could read the look on your face. Don't worry.
Yes, I don't like, people not allowing information to be widespread. The more people who know things, the more we can help.
He coughs
So what do you know?
a little bit. By the way, we're gonna get
tissue.
Mike has tissues. Don't worry. But that's also a in fiction cough because he does look a little under the weather.
Right. Hum does healing. She might be able to help.
He says, I don't know if it'll help. I've had a little bit of a cough and kind of a slow burn. I don't even know if I want to call it a fever, but when you get the achy shakes sometimes, but then it doesn't go into a full-blown fever. I've had that for a couple days now. But that's not that important. He says he walks close and he says, "This is pertinent, or what I'm about to tell you is honestly my suspicion." But he sighs and he says, "Marshal Grobash is right. It's pretty sensitive, and if it gets out into the wider populace of Forthstride, it could be a problem."
Understood. We'll be quiet.
Hum just touches his leg and casts Cure Wounds on him.
He looks down and looks at Hum and he says, kind of like jiggles his shoulders a little bit, and "Thank you. I feel a little bit better." Not sure that helped too much, but thank you. He kind of adjusts his belt and he says, "Here's my concern. I was in the Citadel the day after the Gnolls managed to slink in without any flares going up. And I took a look at the scheduling for patrolling on the outskirts. He says, to bring you up to speed, the Knolls came in from the northwest side. And I was thumbing through the scheduling, and the corporals put on duty on the northwest side of the outskirts. Their names there, the names belong to militiamen that are either dead for, this job is dangerous, or they don't serve in the militia anymore.
So the scheduling had no guards posted there.
He says, from what I've seen, yes.
I can understand why Gorbash wanted this to be quiet.
It's
All right.
concerning, and the person in charge of that is the marshal in charge of the outskirts. Or at least sometimes he'll delegate a marshal will sometimes delegate a, one sec. Will sometimes, delegate a higher ranked corporal to set up a schedule. It just, it worries me.
Yes. What are we going to do, We'll take a look into it. Thank you for bringing this to us. I have to talk to Dmitri, but if there's someone in the Citadel that's working with the Knolls, it can't be good for any of us.
He nods and he says, if you see me around, you can call me by my first name, Drendor. And he goes to shake.
Drendor.
He goes to shake both of your hands.
Shake his hand.
I do too.
He nods.
Be safe. Be safe. It's trying times. I'm worried about the city, so
He says,
just be careful, and if anything goes wrong with the cough, go seek aid immediately.
He nods. He says, job's supposed to be dangerous. It's dangerous. Then he winks and he coughs again. And then he walks out the door and heads back down the street toward Clear Currents. You look back and the security guard is kind of giving you an eye. And the receptionist she says, should I call Dmitri for you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So, like we established in the B-Sides episode, she has a little system where there's these pipes with wind flowing through them, and she scribbles on a piece of parchment and moves the message up. And a few minutes later, Dmitri comes through the door that leads into the complex, and he says, "Tadeusz!
Dmitri!
How are you?"
I kind of run up and give him a big hug.
Yeah, he hugs back.
Good. I hear your inventory is a little lighter due to recent events.
He says, not my inventory, but one of my projects. It just got...
Oh, it was an experimental one.
It was an experimental one. We're not down any finances or anything, but I spent a lot of time on that. I really wanted to eventually have you give it a shot.
Wait, if this is an experimental project that was stolen, they had to know about it. What was it? Who knew about it?
He says, he says, well, it was, I wanted it to be a surprise, but it was an experimental armor. See, it was this thing you would wear on your torso, and it would, sort of detect if there was an object, approaching it at high velocity, and then burst out, a gust of air, and it would deflect it.
Like an arrow or like crossbow bolt or something like that?
Or a sword or a hand.
Anything, Lots of applications. It's not a bad idea.
He says,
Sounds really cool.
I'm glad you think so.
Considering how many things are flying our way, I think we'd be interested. But again, if it was an experiment, who knew about it?
He blushes a little bit and he says, well, I get pretty talkative about my experiments in the office, and I kind of have everyone...
Uncle, what? I tell you this every time. Everyone is trying to develop new technologies. You have to be quiet about these things.
Well, I don't tell them the secrets to it, I just tell them my ideas.
The ideas are still valuable, you know this.
He says, it's true. I just enjoy...
Your sister, I hear a story and story over. You just talk and talk and talk, and everyone knows everything by the time they leave in a conversation with you 3 drinks in. Just... This is the reason not to. I'm not saying I told you so, but I now have to go find your armor.
He kind of, he deflates a little bit and he says, no, you're right, but...
It's alright, I love you anyway. I know this is just you, but... Was it just poor decisions mainly? That crowd around there, or constituents?
He says, no, it was employees. Well, perhaps not all of them. It's when, usually I lose myself when, having lunch here on site and just get to talking, and there's many people coming and going and listening to me, and...
Yeah, you are an interesting man. It happens.
My workbench isn't exactly under wraps either. Never had to really, beyond the door, and he kind of like gestures to the door, which you notice has actually gone through some changes. It looks like there's an iron bar across it that looks like it would lock. There's sort of reinforcement on it. The hinges look a lot stronger. He says, aside from the walls and the new door in the lobby and the new I'm just gonna say garage door in the back, haven't really needed to up security around the projects.
Well, how did they enter the building? I heard there was dispute about if they actually got inside.
The human security guard pipes in and he says, yeah, they kind of stormed in the lobby, and these fucks wearing this dark leather armor, and they wanted it in. They tried to intimidate me. They pull a knife. And he like points to a something that's very reminiscent of a baton. He taps it on his that's on his waist, and he says, I drew my good club here, had it out with them. And he looks over and he names the receptionist, and her name isn't in my notes right now, so she called out for the militia, and then we had them all sorted out.
I love how we have a Bobby security guard. That's amazing. All right, so I turn to him and say, good job. They didn't get past the doors, though, as I kind of point to the doors that kind of like branch off from the lobby into the actual workhouse.
He shakes his head. As far as I saw, no.
I kind of crouch and whisper to him, this is just a hunch, but we haven't seen the Ashwick for a while, have we?
No, we haven't.
It seems like his kind of MO, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
We'll mention it to the others. I kind of stand up quickly and say, all right, I have some business in town, Uncle. I love you. Be careful.
He says, I love you too. I will be.
I'm worried about this town. Certain things they're not sitting right with me.
They're not looking right.
Mm-hmm.
He nods and he says, I'll take more precautions.
Yeah. When we were traveling, I was always at your side. I could always be there. I'm sorry I'm not here as often as I could be. I hope to change that soon, but...
He says, don't fret too much. You're doing important work, I think.
Sometimes I don't even know. But I'll get back to it. I love you.
Alright, so, going back to the 3 down here. Zachriel, make me a Constitution saving throw, as it's been some time by now. Let me do some tracking. Half hour. Okay. I have a new time tracker, and I can do 1 minute, 5 minutes, an hour, and then 4 hours in a day, but I can't do a half hour. Justin? Zephin? Zachriel? Did Discord go bye-bye? No?
I'm still here.
We're still here.
The camera calls to him. Okay. Alright, well, while we're waiting on that, just so I know, what's your next move to Dice and Hum?
I think we're gonna try to catch up with them in Akka.
Okay.
I want to go investigate the Citadel, but we're gonna need everybody for that.
Absolutely, I agree.
So are you, is Delia thumbing through that other book that she got?
Yes.
Okay. So, glancing over it as, you guys are walking along, and as she's sort of also, using Detect Magic, kind of keeping track of, like, if she can see the miasma or not. In the book, she finds, stuff about, how to spread the area of effect of, like, instantaneous spells, how to concentrate arcane energies to get this sort of effect, and the concepts or the theory on how like spreading out something makes it weaker, clearly, and then speculation on how in the right circumstances, if you spread something out, it'll get stronger, and then like a disclaimer that this is just conjecture. And there's a part that sort of catches her eye about how to make a fireball spell even bigger than it already is. There's a passage about how to sort of create anchor points to have an effect persist over a wide geographical area, stuff like that. Where the heck did Justin go?
I'm gonna.
I was here the whole time.
Oh, roll con save.
No. No, I thought I heard someone's door.
Gotcha.
Which is weird because midnight.
I'm gonna put some bookmarks on the fireball and anchor points pages.
Gotcha. Okay, so, Zachriel, you feel, starting to feel like a tingle in your throat, and as you're moving, and you like, when you kind of like naturally stretch, you can feel your muscles kind of like there's a very slight clamping sensation. To put it in IRL terms, it feels like the very beginning onset of a fever. But you're not, like, affected negatively, mechanically, in any way.
Delia, is there a cafeteria at this school?
There's a cafe. There's not, like, a full-bore cafeteria. There's, like, a cafe where you can, like, buy foods that are conjured. And, like, the school has, like, a deal with some restaurant in town to provide them, like, sandwiches and stuff.
Well, there's a small cafe. Are you feeling peckish?
No, I feel the beginnings of a fever coming on.
Well, that's
Perhaps
not
we
good.
need to get you to home.
I think with what's going on, may be out of Hum's wheelhouse.
Well, we should meet up with them in the very least.
Bit of tea with some honey in it kills the fever. Or we could go see the Spice Daddy.
Okay.
I know I'm not there, but I vote Spice Daddy.
All right. So I'll just say that maybe you guys meet like here, just for fun. Because I would presume that you're like walking like that direction, and then
Yeah, that works.
so you guys meet up on that side of the bridge with the river, the sound of the river flowing. What do you do?
Does Delia have a giant book with her?
Yep, and she's thumbing through it, I would assume.
It looks like you have an entire map there. What's going on?
I'll hold up the part about the anchor points. There's not much in this book, but this did stick out to me. There could be multiple spots where this, if it is a spell.
I gotta like take a knee and get down to where she's holding it and look it over.
Well, one other thing that you got out of that book as you're reading it is that for many spells, there is a concrete line of where the effect is and isn't. It's very difficult to get a gradient effect. Just something for you to also chew on. Go on, Tobias.
As I look it over and I see the anchor points mentioned, can I think of any notable points on the infrastructure of Forthstride that would be targets potentially?
Absolutely. Roll. Wow, that's a good question. I was gonna say Arcana, but that question's different. Roll History.
History, okay.
I mean, int. So. Any good spots?
Things that might be discreet or places that they would think would be high priority targets.
Well, with that, int check, you know that, the whole, you know that where you've been so far has been covered, and you know that you aren't sure if you've seen the entire breadth of the area of this effect. So you know that it would be difficult to discern. I mean, a few places pop in your mind with the limited information you have. A few places pop in your mind. There's the Citadel. There's anywhere on the Industrial Hill. There's Akka itself. There's the Temple District. In terms of inconspicuous, there's all kinds of buildings that are just residences, tenant houses.
From those descriptions, I will kind of ask Delia.
It wasn't done.
You got one more thing? You got one more thing? Okay.
It was that all of those come to mind as potentials, but you don't have all the information yet to sort of pick them apart.
Okay. Gotcha. So I'm gonna look up to Delia and say, so magic, it usually has a sphere of influence that it cannot be hazy around. It's usually a defined zone, correct?
Right.
If we can find the outliers and circle an entire zone, couldn't we find the epicenter of it?
We could.
If we potentially use your vision and found the spot and went around and found the outlying, we could map it out with my maps and find the center of the point and then investigate that spot.
That would be a good idea.
This one thing I could think of. Also, we were managing to speak to the corporal and we got some information, but it is very important that it does not leave this circle.
So right now, just to paint the picture, you guys are standing on a kind of a busy thoroughfare.
Yeah.
There's people walking up and down over and across the bridge, and there's people walking up the hill through the market district. So just letting you know that that's where you are.
So, if we want to investigate the zones while we find this quiet spot, as I kind of look over my shoulder, I'll tell you about it, but we may have to investigate the Citadel.
That's not good.
No.
Hey, Tobias,
Yes.
does your family's bar sell hot toddies?
They've gotten most of the repairs since the, water elemental problems, but at this time of the day, maybe not. Did you need a drink?
Well, my throat is starting to feel a little scratchy, and I feel like I'm getting a fever.
That's
Were
not
you-
good.
Were you feeling this way since you got into town?
No, just recently, within the last hour or so.
The corporal was also not feeling very well, and neither was Sehara. And all of you happen to be Genasi.
Well, that's interesting.
Cast Dispel Magic at Zachriel, hoping that it'll clear up the sword.
You don't feel an immediate effect, Zachriel. Is Delia? Is there any discussion about this, or does Hum just do it?
Just does it.
Okay. What's Delia doing at this point?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, is her nose back in the book, or is she?
Probably.
Okay.
No, like just slowly perusing it.
Okay. All right. Zachariel, you don't feel an immediate effect. You still feel scratchy and like.
I don't know what you just did, Hum, but nothing's changed.
Oh, that's not good.
Perhaps we need to get him out of the city.
There's too many Genasi to move them all out of the city if that is what is happening.
I don't think we should jump to conclusions. I mean, it's just a fever. I've had plenty in my day.
But 3 cases all in one walk across the town is correlation, would you say not?
I agree, but you're going to instill mass panic and hysteria if you go around telling people that Genasi are no longer welcome within the city.
I'm telling you because I care about you, and you are obviously getting the sniffles right now. So let's get you this drink, and let's talk about what we want to do. Alright?
You know that there's plenty of, regular restaurants down the lane here.
As we walk around the streets, keep your eyes on the Genasi and see if there's any more. If we know what we're dealing with, we can research it and find out.
So where are you guys going?
I think we're gonna go make some poor decisions.
Okay.
And I guess I'm gonna check in Giza while we're back.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So while you guys are walking and you guys get to this intersection here, let me mark it with the arrow. This intersection here. You see a young woman walking across the lane here, and she is holding the hand of a young child who seems to be hers. Zachriel kind of looking at them, you hear a sort of a and you look at them and they're clearly Genasi of the earth variety, and they're walking in this direction.
I will, Tadia's Terran tribe.
Wait, what?
The woman there with the child there, other than Genasi.
Wait, the child is, the woman isn't.
Okay, the child is, the woman isn't.
That child looks sick.
You kind of like your attention might have been drawn to him too, because he just kind of like lifted up his elbow and coughed into it.
Should we follow or grab their attention?
We're not going to be able to help them now. We have to hurry. Let's talk about it where it's quiet. We need to figure out about the plan.
Okay. Nothing else of note occurs as you guys make your way to Poor Decisions, which is this one right here. So, you guys enter Poor Decisions, and you see your mother, Tadias, at the bar. She waves hello, and she immediately kind of waves you all in, and she says, "You haven't been in town for a while. You haven't been in town for a while. Come in, come in."
Yes. And can I get a round of drinks, especially for this one? As I point to Zachariel, he's got a bit of a sore throat.
Take something very hot. Very hot.
Well, I know just the thing. Don't you worry. And she starts setting up. She starts pouring and getting a platter together.
Yep.
It's
business been.
Well, it's been good. And just to remind you guys, it is it's whoa. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The bar is mostly empty, except for a few people that have decided to stop in for bar food for lunch.
Yeah.
She says, business has been pretty good. No real complaints.
Little question. You see a lot of people that come in and out of the bar for drinks and such. Have you noticed any sick people kind of coming in through? It seems like everyone who's, slightly Genasi has been coming down with the cold recently.
She kind of puts her hand on her cheek, and she looks up and she starts thinking. She says, "Well, now that you mention it, I do remember seeing I think he was a Genasi. He was one of the ones that have the windy kind of look, the hair and the
ones that usually work for Dimitri, yes."
And she points at you and she says, he had a bit of the sniffles when he came in one evening. He asked for something with lots of horseradish to clear his sinuses.
Well,
Horseradish.
that is one way of doing it.
I was thinking more honey and lemon.
Yes, could we get some honey and lemon for him? We're going to just take a table in the corner and talk about a few things.
You see her, she already has, a half of a lemon, and she's squeezing juice into a cup that looks like it's steaming. Oh, of course, you said sore throat. I know what I'm doing.
You're the best. Would I ever doubt you? I don't know.
A few minutes later, she has a tray, and she hands it, or she puts it on the bar.
I kind of grab the tray and start walking over to one of the side tables.
Does anyone else find it hot in here?
It's about as warm as it would be inside of a wooden building in the middle of the day.
I'm playing off the sickness, Mike.
No, I'm just saying that for everyone else's benefit.
Yeah.
Does his forehead feel hot?
He's on fire,
Does it feel hotter? I don't know. I'll let you decide the physiology of what happens when a fire genasi gets a fever. Justin.
They get really cold. They get normal temperature. No, I don't know.
Just start turning from blue and purple.
He looks a little bluish. Sure.
So what did this, was it Corporal?
Yes, Corporal Moonstone. He informed him and I that the gnolls that got in through the northwest
the guards that were assigned to watch that side of the town, their names on the registry were peculiar, seeing that the people listed were either dead or no longer worked for the militia.
Seems
Very
like a gross
suspicious.
oversight.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it seems odd. Something that definitely cannot be spread around for obvious reasons. The Citadel and this century, they could be a distraction or they could be a bigger problem, but right now, as I kind of look Zachar up and down, I'm more worried about these anchor points if that is how they are doing this.
Yeah, so am I.
Is there any spell you know, Delia, that could find something? Like you could make a request or ask and figure out where something might be?
No, I don't. I don't know any spells like that.
I don't know any either. Do you think someone at Dhaka might know? I'm not one very close to divination.
I'm sure there would be some people.
My vision about the elemental cataclysm, the sickness, the miasma, I don't like any of it.
Hey, do we have a way to track undead creatures?
Not that I personally know. I only know the limited spellcraft. Delia would know better than I. Or Ham maybe too.
Dealing with undead is more in a cleric's wheelhouse than mine.
Just a bard.
Well, you're the bard. I was just curious if we had some way of locating undead creatures, we could more easily find Renwick. I feel like he may have some knowledge of this sort of level of magic, prowess, whatever.
I mean, Delia, you know him most familiarly. Where would he go if he came to Forthstride?
Did we ever tell him about fiddles and twiddles? Twiddles and fiddles?
I don't think we did.
Mm-mm. We could always go talk to Gizo and see if he's heard anything.
And there was that one guy who was sending the books to Renwick.
What was his name? You told me about what you found them where?
He's living near the college. I think his name was Zeon.
Oh, that's close. I'm looking for it right now. Not that one. Oh no. Okay.
You're so bad with names.
I do have. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, that's right. I forgot that I had his name in my notes, so I made it randomly generated one, but I never wrote down the randomly generated one, so I just have the one that's in the notes. Okay, it starts with a Z. No, it starts with a Z. It was.
Zoidberg.
No.
Zebajaya.
Zenin.
Zenin?
That's plain enough. Spelled like
Lenin with a Z?
Pretty much. Okay. That's his name.
There was Zenon.
He was communicating with before. Maybe he knows something.
Well, he wasn't exactly very
That's our
friendly.
best bet for now.
Yes, but we have, and I kind of like hold my hand out to Hum, very persuasive individuals with us, don't you think?
Takes a little bow.
I mean, I'd rather not resort to that. He did
Whatever you
help my
think.
boo.
I can do it without being mean. It can be very persuasive.
So, we're
Can't tell if it's the fever or the fact that you're terrifying, but I just got a cold chill.
Bit of both, maybe.
Oh, it's got to be the fever.
Delia, you seem to be the expert at both of these, getting to Zen and also finding the centers of these spheres of influence. Which do you think we should investigate first? I cannot do any of it alone.
I think finding the epicenters would be a lot more time consuming than trying to find Zenon or someone in the college who knows anything.
At least we have a better idea of what we're dealing with.
Right.
The miasma is affecting Genasi. Maybe there's more to research there as well. I feel very helpless in the situation, unfortunately.
Well, where should we go first? I don't want finding Zenon to be a waste of time if he can't find Renway.
You mentioned the clerics might be able to track down undead.
We need a necromancer.
Nobody ever needs a necromancer. What is a necromancer?
Someone who's very affectionate with necks.
With necks?
With the dead.
Oh, that necromancer, gotcha. Heard you wrong.
My God.
No, she's talking about the one who raises the dead.
No.
I don't
That sounds like the opposite of what we need.
Well, they might know something. We need to find a lich. How do you suggest we do it?
We set up a stand in the center of town and write free souls on it.
Well, he's not the one with his phylactery.
Is humorous is that is, if we draw enough attention to ourselves, he'll recognize us.
I turn and look at him.
Could we do a concert or loud enough public display to maybe draw some attention?
You want attention? I can do that.
Well, maybe you're the headlining act at either Twiddles or Fiddles or Poor Decisions for the week, and we get that news out to everyone, and maybe someone comes and sees you.
Do we have enough time for that?
Let's do I was about to say, do a sanity check to see if that's just as time-consuming or not as
It seems as time-consuming as everything else.
tracing a line. Well,
Why don't we go to the Zenon fellow's house and we'll make him talk. Surely, if he's able to transport objects from one location here on Forthstride to the manor, he should be able to contact this. He should be able to contact Mr. Wick.
Wait. Is there ways to contact over long distances?
I don't know.
Yes, there is, but I am not familiar with that type of magic.
Could we buy it? I bought my Find Familiar scroll. Is there a scroll for it, perhaps?
The student store where you bought that scroll.
I have an account.
You do have an account, but you know that they don't really provide anything beyond second level. And even second level is pretty rare.
Yikes.
Is that like reward miles or something?
Is there not a shop in town that has scrolls?
Roll history.
Can I roll as well?
And as you are all thinking about it, discussing it. All right. Hey, this is very appropriate too, Delia.
There you go.
So you know of a particular student that he loves writing scrolls. It seems to be his favorite pastime in the arcane arts. He just loves to make spell scrolls. The kind that are either single use or the kind where you can copy them into your spell book. And you know that this individual, you don't know them personally. You've heard of them because this is the kind of individual that supplies scrolls for students for exams to cheat.
Ooh.
Kind of
He also sells all the drugs.
No. The ill-gotten ability kind of thing.
She hasn't studied. She's got exams at the end of the month, so
She needs some enhancement.
Well, maybe, but Delia knows that this is like for the demonstration kind of deal, not as much as like writing down all of the theory. I mean, that was a good roll. So with that, you know, sort of, you've gotten close to petitioning them for help, but you've never really done it because you're like, no, I'm not that much of a piece of shit, unless you have. What do you think? Would Delia have ever cheated in that manner?
Probably.
Her
background is she's not like the greatest. She's not
So,
you know.
So we'll say, to sort of preserve, like, still going to school there's a point where she did cheat. But a professor kind of, like, gave her this glare that put the fear of... Not God, but, I mean, you know what I mean. Put the fear... Put the fear of the gods in her. Like, he knew, but he didn't... Like, it wasn't conclusive enough, but they knew. So you were kind of, like, for a while you're on watch, but you know how to get to this guy.
Guys, I just thought about this guy that I know who might be able to help us with a spell scroll to contact Renwick.
Now we're talking.
We should definitely go to them.
let's go see our friend.
All right, let's go.
So you know...
I feel like Zachariel should rest.
Be fine. I don't think this will affect any of my,
Maybe
combat prowess.
It's not going to be a rest-fixing thing, I don't think. It's either we're going to solve this or we're going to have to move him and his down to another city.
Mm-hmm.
But just put the expansion on the house. I don't really want to.
So you guys are having this conversation as you're leaving Poor Decisions. It's about... After that whole conversation, it's about 2 in the afternoon. I'm feeling fine, but does anybody want to take a break? It has been a couple of... it's been a bit. Anyone need
I'm going to keep going.
Maybe just 5 minutes.
Alright, we'll take 5.
Quick 5.
Quick 5.
I'll be right back.
Maybe I can get my microphone.
So I went to...
Tinkle. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anybody here now?
I believe so. If Nyx is still here.
I'm still here.
Alrighty.
Then we are ready.
And we're continuing.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
Does
go
it
find
sound better
Xena.
now?
Okay.
Good.
Can't tell a difference. Still sounds decent and good.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so you guys exit poor decisions. Zachariel, make another con save.
Looks around to see if it looks like anybody is listening.
See if anyone's listening.
Yeah, when we were talking,
Okay.
because there were a few people in the bar.
Roll perception. Okay. Zachariel, the symptoms you're feeling get a little worse, and you are under the poisoned condition. With that perception, you might want to change your character name.
Oh,
Just letting you know. Hum looks around and there's maybe 2 other patrons in the bar, and they're just sort of there eating lunch. Then they get up and go. You don't really seem to detect anyone watching you. So you guys start walking down the lane. It is about 2 in the afternoon at this point. So, Delia, you know that this individual... You actually know that this individual that provides spell scrolls for use in demonstrations, mostly, resides right over here.
Can we cut across
Totally.
that little section right there?
Yeah. You're just kind of on dirt.
Perfect. It feels more like a drug deal now.
Oh, yeah.
Zachariel, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I've never felt better.
There wasn't any alcohol in there. Why do you sound drunk?
There was alcohol in it.
Did you put alcohol in it?
He said
Oh,
hard.
you're sick.
He said hard, so she put in hard alcohol. Hard
I've
liquor.
never seen you get drunk after one, Zachariel. You must
Have
be.
you
actually
never
sick.
had toddy? It's either whiskey or rum, whichever you prefer. It doesn't act right away. Sometimes it takes a little while for it to...
We should hurry. As I kind of keep looking at him as I start walking, following Delia.
All right. So it's like, yeah, So it's
Hop
the
a couple fences, go
you
in
don't
some back.
there's no fences to hop. But it is sort of definitely out of the way seeming, like the grass is unkept. It's like the kind of strawy kind of grasses. It's on the very fringe of the sort of neighborhood where Aka has like students housed. So, and like the house is on sort of a slope. So you approach and there's like there's a normal door, but it's definitely it's a nondescript regular student housing, but surrounded by like the unkempt like fringes of the area.
Perfect.
What do you do?
I'm gonna knock on the door.
So you're familiar with you're familiar with it in a sense of you've seen it happen. The magic mouth spell. A mouth sort of forms out of the door. And it says Gurmy isn't in right now. We'll be back in 5 or so. State your business.
Am I like leaving a voicemail?
Essentially.
Hi, it's Delia. I'm looking for something pretty specific that I know you help people out with.
Everyone else make a perception check.
There it is.
Tadias, as she's sort of recording this message out of the corner of your eye, coming up the lane from this direction, you see a tall, lanky human gentleman with his hands in his pockets, wearing the sort of the sort of uniform that the students of Akka wear, kind of loosely put on, starting to approach. And when he sees a lot of you in front of that door, kind of like tilts his head and kind of starts to back away a little bit.
I kind of tap Delia and kind of point that direction as nonchalantly as I can.
I'll wave at him. Hopefully he recognizes. I'll start walking towards him.
Sort of like, so yeah, you recognize him, and sort of like looks at you with an eyebrow raised, and then like kind of squints his eyes, turns his head, leans down a bunch because you're a gnome, and then as you're like within 10 feet, it says, "Delia."
What is this guy's name?
Zerny.
Zerny. Hey, Zerny.
No, me with an M.
Oh, Zermy. Hey, I really need your help.
He says, "Aha, so you are looking to get a little bit of an edge again, I see."
Yes, but not for school this time.
Not for school?
I know. I need
That's weird.
It is. It certainly is. Trust me. I need something that would be able to contact someone over long distances.
You mean sending?
Yes.
He kind of looks at you again, he says, "It's pretty simple spell. I don't actually have any copies. I can make one. It'd take a while."
About how long would it take?
He says, standard rate, would take about 4 hours. And then he kind of smiles and he says, "But it can certainly be expedited."
For how much?
He says, right. He says, "Normal rate is 90 gold. Expedited, 150.
There's no way you could do better on that. I mean, come on, we're friends.
He says, "We have a good client businessman's relationship. I wouldn't call us friends."
Okay, fine. And I'll hand over half the gold. You get the other half whenever I get the spell scroll expedited.
Per standard. He says, "Is this for a single cast or to copy?"
A single cast, it has to be.
He kind of like, "Alright, it's interesting spell for a single cast, but sure thing." He says, "I'll have it done for you in an hour."
Okay, thank you. No, I'll head back over to the group.
And then you see him kind of pull out some keys and unlock that door with the magic mouth, and he heads inside and closes the door.
Well, we've got a sending scroll being made, but it's going to take an hour.
Oh, plenty of time.
Did we want to try to find the epicenters or anything like that, or did we want to just wait and let Zachariel catch his breath?
No, I'll be fine. We should really focus our efforts on finding out where these epicenters are.
So the difficulty is we need to find the edge, and my estimation is we'd find that closer to the outskirts of town, which we're close to. But based on Zachriel's house, it could be even further than just this border.
That's right, it could be.
Yeah, so Zachariel's house is about a half a mile, not even a half a mile, maybe a quarter of a mile. We didn't really establish it too much. We should do that now. Justin, what do you
Quarter
think?
mile.
Quarter mile? Okay. So Zachariel's house is about a quarter mile outside of the wall, the sort of walled off area. So you have that to go on.
So I'm going to pull out my cartographer tools and look over my map of Forthstride.
Okay.
And I'm going to just kind of try to like point it out with Zachariel and notify exactly where we measured like his house to be.
Okay. Certainly doable. You do it.
How do we find...
Is there these maps? Today, do you have any of the old maps of the infrastructure?
I looked through my stuff. Do I have any of the old ones?
Yeah.
I
You
want to hand it to him.
I mean, it just looks like a smaller Forthstride, basically. Not
What
as.
are you thinking?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Or these epicenters, they're what, like points or?
The anchors, as Dealey's book described it, are places where the spell might be casting from. Because the spell is a defined area, if we find the outskirts of it, we can find the center of it. So if we trace around, as I kind of like draw a circle with my finger, we know where the center point is.
Oh, okay, so these aren't established areas. It's just where the magic is being focused, or
Exactly.
okay.
So really, we need to find an edge and walk it until we can find out how it's turning, then guess where the center will be of that sphere or shape. I think it would be a sphere.
This would probably be easier with more people that.
Knew this
More
spell,
than-
yes.
Yes. Well, we go talk to Gordon, see if he's. Maybe he's sick. Who knows? He's old.
I mean, if you think he has the resources, it's probably going to take longer than the scroll. Delia, do you want anyone to stay here with you?
I'll stay with Delia.
Okay. So, Zachary, Illyria, and I go talk to Gordon, try to find some more arms and mages in order to make a almost circle finding search party. You get in communication with Renwick, and then he can join us with this search. These work?
Delia
This
nods.
works.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's go.
Should we send Nathan with them, Delia, so that we know where to find him?
Yes, good idea. I'll bring out Nathan and send him along with.
Alright.
Here, I'll trade you. And I put I put my little guy on her head.
Udarnik.
Udarnik. Yeah.
Udarnik the Dragonfly. Alright. So you guys start heading down the Vardos lane, and I assume you make a left on the main drag, and then make your way up the hill to the Way Shield headquarters. You see, people going about their day, getting there, and that conversation, we'll say it was another 15 minutes. So it's 2:25 in the afternoon when you guys arrive at the Way Shield headquarters. So You walk in. Same young lad who is the receptionist perks up, sees Zachriel. He says, "Oh, hello there.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, you sound awful.
I'm fine. It's just a little sore throat.
All right. Did you need something? Do you want to talk to Gordon, I presume?
Yeah, is he here?
He's here. He says, I'll go let him know you're here, Zachriel. And he gets up and walks into the hall and knocks on Gordon's door, opens it, and he says, Gordon, Zachriel and his group are here. And you hear him say, all right, I'll get over there. And he, a few seconds later, comes out the door, walks through and takes one look at Zachriel, and he says, you look like hell.
Why do people keep saying this?
Because you look like hell.
He looks to Thaddeus.
I'm a fire Genasi. Of course I look like hell.
I say to see if fire is hot.
He chuckles a bit. Well, what can I do you for?
We need some... do you have any bodies to spare for afternoon? Preferably people that can detect magic or some... whatever. You?
He blinks for a second. He says, to my knowledge, I don't have anyone on the ledger that are spellcasters. Most of the people in the Way Shields are, well, fighting men and women. He says,
there's your wife.
And he says, but, well, you know, I have a few tricks myself. I can cast some spells.
Yeah, Thaddeus doesn't believe me, but...
What do you need?
There's some sort of magical... Thaddeus?
Alright, I'll get it over. I briefly regale him about the miasma that our friend Delia was detecting. Talk about the plan that there might be anchor points causing, like, or focusing the spell, and that we're trying to mathematically find the center points of them and need more hands or eyes that can detect magic to find it.
He's nodding and he says, he's following everything you're saying. He says, that's concerning. Give me a moment.
Oh, before... It seems to be making Genasi sick, so...
We haven't made that
Not that I'm
yet.
sick, but,
We haven't truly nailed that is exactly what's causing it, but... Zachariel, you don't need to lie to anyone. You look like hell.
Zachariel, suddenly you, and like you kind of like chalk this up to symptoms, but you feel a flush of cold kind of just go all over your body.
My God, Gordon, could you turn up the heat in here?
Well, he is sick.
Yes, you should really see who you have.
He says, give me a moment. And then you see him close his eyes, and you see for the first time he makes his own sort of arcane gestures. Then he opens his eyes, and you can tell that he is cast Detect Magic himself. He says, you say it's all over? And then he like squints his eyes, and then he kind of like jerks his head back. My God. What's going on?
We only first detected it when we got back to town from the west. But it would be awfully coincidental if all Genasi seem to be coming down with illness, and this only came about now.
You're right. He says, I can help you.
Alright, if you have the time, we would appreciate it.
I've just got paperwork. I can always take a break from paperwork. A walk around the city would do me some good.
Alright, we'll meet up with our friends. They're going to be on the east side.
So that
Can I
whole
delay our return just after an hour so we don't accidentally bust the scroll maker?
sure, but what do you do?
I think we're going to start him scanning down here and then walk our way across slowly.
Okay. Across what, like the outer parts of the wall?
Barrier, see if it extends to all the wall.
Okay,
I'm
so
assuming he's going to go far around it, but just to check.
so it does. It does extend beyond the wall.
Now, what I want to ask him while he's doing this is if he sees any parts where there is. I don't know if it's like original, because when I was mentioning the anchors, do they overlap at all? Like, could the effects overlap each other?
Areas of effect can certainly overlap each other.
Well, the thing is, you can't affect the same thing by the same spell by 2 times, so it'd be only affected by one of them.
Yep.
So, in theory,
Are you looking
I mean, some
for
of the
places that are like thicker than others?
well, no, I'm looking for places that actually look spherical because they'll be the first ones,
Gotcha.
or the last ones technically, because they would have been weird shapes by then.
So no, you don't. As you're sort of walking around the outskirts, no, you don't see anything that's more spherical. You still see that it's like it's as if, or he reports to you that it's as if it's everywhere. You know, like he'll do what Delia was doing. He looks ahead, and you know the range of like the range of the sort of aura that he sees is within 30 feet of him, all around him. And as he's walking down, he can see it just all around him. And yeah, sure. The rest of those, like 35 minutes pass. It's 3 in the afternoon. Delia, your contact, hands you a single cast scroll of sending.
I will hand him the other 75 gold.
Thank you kindly. Is there anything else you want?
No. Thank you.
And then he closes his door.
Delia, I could have made him charge us less.
I may need to use his scrolls in the future, so I want to keep him happy.
Okay, just a suggestion.
What should we have a 25 word limit. What should we say to run with?
We need you. Our lives are at stake.
Jesus.
I was
Get
thinking
the point across.
something more
Or
like
maybe not our lives, but lives are at stake.
I thought you were just trying to find his location.
Well, it says he can respond back.
He can't respond back. But then that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, mainly you want
Maybe
a
add,
spot to meet up.
where are you?
Alright, hold on.
Or should we say, meet us at Twiddles and Fiddles?
Maybe mention briefly what's going on.
Lives are at stake.
Sorry, I'm trying to count out words.
No worries.
Message. When sending.
Cookie.
Good stuff.
I love sending.
It's very weird playing a character that kind of knows magic, but doesn't know enough about magic to list that he should know about magic. I'm trying not to metagame as best I can.
I think you're doing a great job.
Alright.
I did it.
Sweet.
Okay.
I think that's 24.
Cookie. At the end. If you have any words that you haven't used yet, just end it with cookie. Cookie, 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 cookie.
What do you think, Ham?
Looks good. You might want to add quickly after Twiddles and Fiddles.
Okay, we'll add quickly after Twiddles and Fiddles.
He's got eternity. He can be patient.
Okay. So you, I want to hear Delia say it since she has to in casting the spell.
Forthstride is being plagued by a miasma that's targeting Genasi. We need help. Where are you, or will you meet us at Twiddles and Fiddles quickly?
About a minute passes as the DM I can hear me. Count word counting. Okay. Alright. This is what Delia hears back. Hello there. This is what Delia hears back. I am sorry, Delia. I am still in Orboro. Their small militia is having trouble, and there is some activity in the mountains. Stand by. And then later you hear... Need to do some word counting.
Tobias, is your armor heavy?
Not really that much. I mean, you have the splint. It's a little heavier. Why?
I just feel like I'm... No, never mind.
If this is all true, what we've been talking about, you know that Sihara is in danger. We need to push through this.
No, I'm fine. We'll keep going.
All right. But at any point you don't feel fine, I remember there's a child dealing with it too. If we need to, we'll get you out and deal with it ourselves.
2 children.
Fair.
One sec. I need to count this. Okay. And then you get this message. You get a casting from him of sending. Though I am a powerful mage, I cannot travel to Forthstride with the speed you need, but I can give you advice through sendings.
Okay. I'll tell him any help that you or assistance that you can offer would be greatly appreciated.
Is that it?
Tell him you don't have the spell.
Yeah, I'll say I myself cannot cast sending, so you're my only hope.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I like how like our last 20 minutes are gonna be, Delia and her lich boo texting.
I love it.
No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
My God. Alright, and new casting. He says, I'll be sure to make a scroll that you can copy. In the meantime, I will send to you every morning and evening.
Delia, I don't know that we have the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell him. Alright, hold on.
Excuse me. Oh, that down is intense. Kitties, is that your internet?
It is, actually.
The upload's kind of poopy, though.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about upload, though.
You're not streaming.
And on my other computer, I was only getting between 10 and 20 gigs.
So, I need to move you guys. You're actually them over her. Or, okay, yeah, so while Delia is doing that, you guys walk up as you see her kind of like thinking over words to say.
How's it going, Hum?
And you see, you see Gordon with them.
Slowly, Delia is messaging back and forth with him, but his last message said he'd only send messages to her morning and evening, and he's in Ouroboros.
Pretty chilly day today.
Yeah.
Oh, you look like hell.
About 9 of them. Well, Gordon has been casting Detect Magic as we've been walking. Looks like we haven't reached the edge yet. It's going to be further outside of town before we can start getting a shape.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
This
We
has
should use
to
this
be
while we have the
very
daylight.
powerful.
What? Did you say something to this?
I said we should probably get the scanning done in the daylight if we can.
Still have some daylight. You have
Yeah.
about 5 hours of daylight.
Just don't know exactly how I'm gonna find that shape.
Well, you're not the one with. Does Tadias have Detect Magic?
I used to, but then I leveled up and I changed it out because Delia had it.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't get rituals casting. So I changed it out for the Find Familiar.
Well, Gordon, as you're making your way, he says, "Well, to find the edge, we're just gonna we'll have to keep casting it, and we'll have to keep just focusing on the air and just slowly meander our way away from the city. And the epicenter must be somewhere, at least in the city or close by the city, so I figure if we walk away from the city, eventually we'll find the edge.
Right. And then we follow it for a while. I mark it on the map and we try to guess where the center would be.
Right.
Well, let's get going then.
Okay, so things are evolving faster than that. We're trying to find the center of the spell using detect. Since. um. He gives you one more sending. But there's a little bit of time gap between that. So, Delia, you see all of your companions and Gordon. So what are you guys doing? Are you just waiting around, or are you starting to make your way out?
My guess is we walk and travel up to here and start taking the road eastward until we hit the edge.
So when you guys get up to there, Gordon says, "Is it just me that can cast detect magic?" Or he looks at
Julia can as well. She's just doing some other things right now.
well, if that's the case, maybe we can half the time and split up.
It's possible.
He says, I have another map of Forthstride. If we find the edge, we can... Tell you what, if one of us finds the edge, one go north, if we're going east and west, one go north, the other go south along it, and we'll trace our path along the map, and then we'll decide how long we spend doing that, and then we can meet up at the headquarters.
Okay. Who do you want to go with you?
Doesn't matter to me. He looks at the group.
Yeah, I guess we'll take north, as there's been more gnolls and stuff there, and there's more of us. You're old and cramped up in that office for too long.
He says, it's good to get a little fresh air.
Yes,
Got
but
it.
you don't want that fresh air to be by perforation from gnoll spears.
He pats his sword at his belt. I can handle myself. I'm not that old. So who's going? Or so who's going with Gordon?
I'll go with Gordon. I'll send the other 4 up north.
Okay, so Gordon is going to wait. So, okay, yeah. So he'll go wherever. So Gordon, and Tadias are going this way. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah.
And then everyone else is going.
Probably has to go across the bridge and on the other side.
Yeah. He says, well then, how about we meet back at the headquarters in about 2 hours?
That works. You still got Udarnik, Delia?
Yes.
I kind of hold the owl up on my shoulder. Then we know where each other are.
Alright. Can you do me a favor, using your tokens, can you just divvy yourselves up with what group is with who? Just so I know. And, I actually have a token or art for Gordon, but, he... I'm gonna just put a little X. So he's going this way. So it's gonna be Tadias and, Zachariel going east, then?
I might be confused.
Okay.
So we're both heading east. He's going northeast. I'm going southeast.
No,
the
he's
same
gonna.
side.
He's going he's traveling in the direction with you.
No. Okay.
He's.
Well,
I mean, he is going to be with, because he's casting it, and he. Actually, that's a good point. So, he says. He says. So suppose I should travel. If we're going to be on the north side of the river, we should go north then. so we don't have to cross the river. He says this to Tadias.
Whatever you think best.
So he's going to be on the side with Tadias, and I'm assuming Zachriel's following him, so he'll be there too. And then Girl Power is going to be going that way. Oops. Alright, one sec. Alright. Okay, so it takes some time walking out of the city, re-ritual casting the detect magic spell. And what you find is you do find an edge. Miles, no. You do find an edge. Team Girl Power, Delia, you find the edge about, let's say, 1/10 of a mile beyond Zachriel's house. So it hasn't swallowed up the entire outskirts, but you find an edge. Definitely not that far.
It's in the bird bog.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Zachriel, Tadias, and Gordon find the edge, and they start tracing it around. And I didn't set up a zoomed out map of Forthstride in the greater area, so you'll just have to bear with me on my description. But Zachriel, you're sort of following him and you're tracing on a map. And who on Team Girl Power is sort of tracing on the map where you guys are?
Is.
Okay. So it's relatively simple enough because there's landmarks all over the place, especially with the spires of the rock coming out of the ground, to trace your path. So after about there's a couple of hours, not a couple of hours because you agreed to meet up in a couple of hours, but like in an hour and a half or so, you have a pretty decent line going with a little bit of curvature. And you sort of realize that it'll take you maybe a little bit more than a half hour to return to Forthstride. To return to the city proper, and the same with you guys. You start getting a curvature.
How do I feel out here?
Oh, you after like that hour, it sort of lifts from you. You don't feel the sick anymore, and the poison condition is gone.
Oh, the air's nice and fresh out here.
Wait, you look...
He looks better. He looks healthy.
And the drink that your mother made for me is finally kicked in.
No, it means the miasma is definitely affecting you. Alright, I think we have enough curvature.
Oh, good. I'm getting a little hungry.
If they found something, we can just use a sextant and try to draw a circle through the lines, and hopefully we'll have something.
Sounds good. Let's head back.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys start walking back. It's pretty quiet out here today because you're just in the outskirts. You do come across a patrol of militiamen just walking. They wave to you. They recognize Gordon. They recognize Zachriel. Everyone sort of meets up again at the Way Shield's headquarters. We can use my desk, or we can use my desk, says Gordon.
Alright. May I see your map, Mum?
Oh, yes, here you go.
Hey. I'm gonna start taking a look at them together, and for once, a toolkit is being used.
Yeah!
Cartography skills, woo! Alright,
Whoa.
archaeology. So I'm gonna start looking them over and try to, angle where the lines kind of match up with the landmarks and see if I can get a wholesome circle going and find where I think the center point would be. Should I use the kit?
So, go ahead and you have a lot of leeway because you have those lines and stuff. It's not really that hard.
Okay.
So I'm not even gonna make you roll a check for this because it's
awesome.
You're describing. with what you're doing,
Logic.
If a skill check doesn't, require a roll and doesn't require a roll, so you trace this and you find the center. Seems to be somewhere, in the woods south of Forthstride. A small patch of woods here.
Let's see, there's still a lot of searching. I show it to everybody else.
This seems like something we should take care of.
Do we do it tonight?
Pretty much.
I would say so. Sihara's so sick, and we saw how fast that Zachariel went down.
Whoa, I feel fine.
Roll a con save.
Convenient timing.
You feel like the onset feeling again, but it's not giving you the poison condition.
Yeah, I feel much better.
Yeah, but
if you
you're
are
not
all ready,
looking
I'm ready.
So much better.
I feel great,
Gordon, you have been of much help. We're going to see this through.
He nods. He says, times are dire, but that was pretty enjoyable. Thanks for taking me. He goes to shake your hand.
Yes, I can shake his hand back. Be
Are
careful.
you sure you don't want to come along with us, Gordon?
He says, well, I procrastinated on my duties a little bit, so I have some work to do, but I know the 5 of you are very capable. In fact, eventually they're going to come back, but I found another group to start solving troubles around the region. I'd like you to meet them when they get back. But that would be for another day.
For sure, we have a lot to do now.
At this point, everyone feels a rumbly in their tumblies. It's dinner time. It's 5. It's like 5 in the afternoon. Actually, probably
Hardtack and South Walking.
Probably 5.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
So I will say, just because you implied like a long journey, like the woods are like right here. They're like
I
right
know,
outside.
but it's just
Okay.
like literally like bite the stuff that's in your bag right now. We're going now.
All right, then we will foray into the southern woods.
Before I leave, I take a folded up piece of parchment and I hand it over to Gordon.
You take a folded up piece of parchment and hand it to Gordon.
Yeah, it's my list.
It's your list. He says, "What's this?" And then he just
unrolls.
look at it unrolls, and it's like and onto the floor.
Falls down to the floor.
What? Oh, you have been keeping track. Excellent.
Yeah, I might have more to add to that later.
I begin looking it over for Frog Hemoth.
Seems to be on no mission, but we'll talk about that later.
No, it's on there. It's right at the bottom of that small print.
Oh, right there? The swallowed by Froghemoth? There, yes.
That is not on the list.
Oh, I think he should have added swallowed by Froghemoth.
It's a very impressive feat. You survived it,
So
Very important.
So we will foray into the southern woods just outside of the Forthstride retaining wall. Next time. We'll continue next week.
Hooray!
Bye, Joy.
Bye, Joy.
Joy.